Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our monthly ASEAN 2015 Challenges and Opportunities program in English. My name is Dr. Wilfried, and as you know, I am the Executive Director of the Human Development Forum Foundation, a registered Thai non-for-profit organization. We are running a couple of programs on the ASEAN 2015 Community 2015 related. Our main topic today is on Persian Gulf region and ASEAN 2015. Today, in the Persian Gulf region, which covers mainly Iran, Saudi Arabia and some smaller countries, many security and economic developments are taking place. However, in the ASEAN family, almost nobody knows about it. However, main oil and gas provider for the ASEAN states are involved in that. So some more background facts should be clarified. Therefore, I invited a very special friend and long-term special guest and long-term friend who is born in India and covers, among others, the maritime developments of that region, Dr. Vijay Sakuya. He definitely can give us some important insights on historical and recent developments and some answers to burning questions. Good evening, Dr. Vijay. Welcome to our program. And please introduce yourself briefly.
Good evening, Dr. Wilfred. It's a pleasure to be here in Bangkok and to be invited to this prestigious panel discussion on ASEAN 2015 and the Persian Gulf. I'll very briefly introduce myself. I am the director of the National Maritime Foundation based in New Delhi. I am also a visiting senior research fellow at the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies in Singapore. As part of my academic work, I have authored 4 volumes and edited and co-edited over nearly two dozen products, academic works. The subject you've chosen today is very, very pertinent and important. ASEAN 2015 is a buzzword across the world. Everybody wants to know what is ASEAN 2015, and so much of academic literature has already emerged on it. My purpose is not to talk about ASEAN 2015, but I would try to relate ASEAN 2015 and ASEAN for that matter with the Persian Gulf. As you mentioned, the Persian Gulf comprises of a number of states: Iran, Iraq, the GCC countries, and this is a very, very important geographic space. One would wonder that the Persian Gulf, how would it be connected geographically to the ASEAN, that is Southeast Asia?
Okay, thank you very much for this brief introduction, and we have now a commercial break.
มันเป็นขยะแต่รู้ไหมว่าขยะเหล่านี้สามารถนำมารีไซเคิลเป็นสมุดสิ่งที่มีค่าสำหรับพวกเขาได้ด้วยแนวคิดการใช้ทรัพยากรธรรมชาติอย่างรู้คุณค่าและให้เกิดประโยชน์สูงสุดทำให้ดอนเมืองโทเวย์ได้เริ่มดำเนินโครงการสมุดกรีนเวย์โครงการเพื่อยกระดับสิ่งแวดล้อมให้คงอยู่ชั่วลูกชั่วหลานตราบนานเท่านานโทเวย์กรีนเวย์
คูปองดิจิตอลทีวีกสทช.มาแล้วค่ะคูปองครับพร้อมรอดูดิจิตอลทีวีซึ่งเขาบอกว่าคูปองดิจิตอลทีวีมาแล้วครับ
วันนี้คูปองมูลค่า690 บาทใช้แลกกล่องเซ็ตท็อปบ็อกซ์หรือเป็นส่วนลดซื้อทีวีดิจิตอลได้ที่ศูนย์จำหน่ายที่มีสัญลักษณ์โครงการ
อย่าลืมอ่านก่อนแล้วเตรียมเอกสารให้ครบนะครับ
แจกแล้ว42จังหวัดภายในสิ้นปีนี้ดิจิตอลทีวีดูดีทุกบ้าน
จำกัดมหาชนพร้อมก้าวสู่ผู้นำด้านปิโตรเคมีและการกลั่นครบวงจร
Welcome back to our ASEAN 2015 Challenges and Opportunities full English program. Today's main topic is the Persian Gulf region and ASEAN 2015. So without further delay, let's jump into the topic. Dr. Vijay from the National Maritime Foundation in Delhi will try to clarify some major questions related to this topic. So my first question would be, could you please explain briefly the historical context of the Persian Gulf region?
The Persian Gulf region, as we know about it as an important geographic space in the 21st century, has a deep-rooted historical connectivity with Southeast Asia. But before that, it's always important to recall that the Persian Gulf itself was a civilization, that is, the Persian civilization. And three important ports were very much in existence. Dilmun was a very important port, Magan, Meluha. They had trading contacts as far as the Mediterranean through the Euphrates and the Tigris River. But that was looking west. They were also, in contemporary times, when we talk about looking east or looking west, they were also looking towards Southeast Asia. As a matter of fact, there were regular trading contacts from Persia or Persian Gulf for that matter, all the way to Southeast Asia. Arab mariners would go across the Arabian Sea, trade in India, and then go all the way to important trading positions and ports in Srivijaya Empire. They wouldn't stop there. The Arab traders or the traders would go as far as China. What had emerged was a very, very dynamic and a complex trading system. It's important to suggest that there were three important trading systems which emerged. One was that around the Gulf, the second was the Indian trading system, and the third was the Chinese and Southeast Asian trading systems. They were complex in the sense that mariners would make long distance voyages from the Persian Gulf all the way to Southeast Asia, carrying goods which were essentially low in volume and high in value. If one is to recall that very period to the 21st century, we can see that today there's a huge amount of connectivity between Southeast Asia and the Persian Gulf. I think the primary commodity which moves from Persian Gulf to Southeast Asia would be oil and gas. Now this is actually the lifeline for that matter. Two important gateways are also worth mentioning. One is the Straits of Hormuz and the other one is Straits of Malacca. By no stretch of imagination that these are new concepts or for that matter new geographic spaces. As a matter of fact, the Portuguese had identified three important positions for trading in Asia if we were to expand the definition of Asia. It was Socotra, which was overlooking the entry into the Red Sea. It was Hormuz, which would bring us into the Persian Gulf, and there would be land routes which will take us into the Mediterranean, and of course Malacca traditionally. These three ports or positions, or rather in contemporary literature we call them as choke points, have been there traditionally for a long time, several centuries ago. Today we are recalling these in our geostrategic, geopolitical and geoeconomic context. They are actually the ones, the funnels, the gateways to the Indian Ocean, gateways to the Pacific Ocean, gateways to the Mediterranean Sea. And a large volume of trade moves around. We are told that as many as 100,000 ships are transiting annually through the Indian Ocean, and they would invariably transit through the Straits of Hormuz or through the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandab, or through the Straits of Malacca. In a sense, these three choke points are actually the so-called the nerve centers, if one is to translate these into the maritime domain, as the hub from where much of the international trade would transit.
Mm-hmm. Looking at Hormuz and Malacca, what would you see as the main challenges or security challenges for the both ones? We know Malacca has a piracy history and Hormuz is the guardian is Persia or Iran. But what is today the main security challenges for these two choke points?
Straits of Malacca as such has been a traditional choke point since ancient times. As a matter of fact, we are given to understand that traders since ancient times would call at ports in Sumatra, Palembang. Earlier they would use the Sunda, but later years they began using the Straits of Malacca for trading all the way to China. Straits of Malacca, by its very geographic space, witnesses a huge traffic. We are told anything about 200 to 300 vessels transit through the Straits of Malacca on a daily basis, which brings in a huge volume of cargo, oil and gas. These are all sometimes filled, sometimes return leg, the tankers are returning back empty. So there is a huge amount of traffic which transits through the Straits of Malacca. In terms of threats and challenges for the Straits of Malacca, these essentially can be put into two domains, one at the state level and another at the non-state level. State level, we do not see any problem because Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand and Indonesia have joined hands to ensure that the Straits of Malacca remains free of any asymmetric threats and challenges coming in the form of piracy, terrorism, drug smuggling, gun running, illegal human migration, etc. They have developed a very robust mechanism in terms of surveillance, and which has turned into a kind of a model for several other states to adapt and manage their own spaces. Unlike Straits of Malacca, the Straits of Hormuz does not encounter troubles such as pirates. Instead, if one is to look at not specific to Straits of Hormuz, but the region around has witnessed a number of acts of maritime terrorism. We are familiar with instances of USS Cole, of course that happened in Aden, another merchant vessel Limburg, but we are also given to understand that a large deployment in terms of the Western forces in the towards the Straits of Hormuz is essentially to fight a number of asymmetric threats and challenges that may emerge over there. So one finds that the kind of challenges are quite similar, and there is an opportunity when we look at ASEAN 2015 and the Persian Gulf to exchange notes, develop common strategies in which we can address these non-state challenges for both for global commerce and to states.
Okay, we talk a lot about the maritime aspect. If you can just maybe in 1 or 2 minutes sum up about the connectivity to the landlocked Central Asia. What is the role of the Persian Gulf in that?
In the 21st century, states are all the time attempting how they can connect. They want to overcome what we refer to as tyranny of geography. And what has emerged, particularly in the context of Persian Gulf, two important corridors have emerged. The first one is called the INSTC, International North-South Corridor. It emerged in the early 2000s, that is around 2002 onwards. This discourse has been building up how to connect Persian Gulf all the way to St. Petersburg, thereby turning the whole corridor into a multimodal transport to bring about development to East Europe. It had, in its initial stages, done exceedingly well. A number of studies were conducted, and Iran in particular has been taking the lead. We find this is an opportunity for the ASEAN countries, or for that matter Southeast Asian countries, to get connected that far as let's say west of Russia. The second corridor I would suggest would be running from the Iranian port of Chabahar all the way to landlocked Central Asian countries, particularly Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. These are landlocked countries, and they require a number of opportunities to get access to the seas. As a matter of fact, they are labeled as landlocked developing countries, and they need these opportunities which Iran is able to offer them.
Okay, thank you very much for this kind of information. We have to think a little bit about that, and therefore we have another commercial break.
แต่รู้ไหมว่าขยะเหล่านี้สามารถนำมารีไซเคิลเป็นสมุดสิ่งที่มีค่าสำหรับพวกเขาได้ด้วยแนวคิดการใช้ทรัพยากรธรรมชาติอย่างรู้คุณค่าและให้เกิดประโยชน์สูงสุดทำให้ดอนเมืองโทเวย์ได้เริ่มดำเนินโครงการสมุดกรีนเวย์โครงการเพื่อยกระดับสิ่งแวดล้อมให้คงอยู่ชั่วลูกชั่วหลานตราบนานเท่านานโทเวย์กรีนเวย์
คูปองดิจิตอลทีวีกสทช.มาแล้วค่ะอุ๊บคูปองครับพร้อมรอดูดิจิตอลทีวีซึ่งเขาบอกว่าคูปองดิจิตอลทีวีมาแล้วครับ
วันนี้คูปองมูลค่า690 บาทใช้แลกกล่องเซ็ตท็อปบ็อกซ์หรือเป็นส่วนลดซื้อทีวีดิจิตอลได้ที่ศูนย์จำหน่ายที่มีสัญลักษณ์โครงการ
อย่าลืมอ่านก่อนแล้วเตรียมเอกสารให้ครบนะครับ
แจกแล้ว42จังหวัดภายในสิ้นปีนี้ดิจิตอลทีวีดูดีทุกบ้าน
บริษัท IRPC จำกัดมหาชนพร้อมก้าวสู่ผู้นำด้านปิโตรเคมีและการกลั่นครบวงจร
Welcome back. Here is the ASEAN 2015 Challenges and Opportunities program with Dr. Wilfried. With today's topic, Persian Gulf region and ASEAN 2015. My guest, Dr. Vijay from the National Maritime Foundation in New Delhi, explained some main ideas and implementation possibilities in the previous round. He pointed out, among others, that there are a lot of, or let's say, three main maritime choke points. Two of them are immediately in the discussed regions, the Straits of Hormuz and the Straits of Malacca. A lot of commodities, oil, gas and other commodities are going through this with more than 100,000 ships annually. Also, there is a connectivity possibility from ASEAN via the Persian Gulf region into landlocked Central Asia to open up these landlocked developing countries. I think a lot of very interesting thoughts, and yeah, at the end of the session, Dr. Vijay, what would be your final statement, your final take on this topic?
I think in the 21st century, the globe is, in terms of distances, it is shrinking. What we are witnessing is a very, very constructive way of regionalism which is emerging. ASEAN has proved itself to be a good example, and that's why we are talking about ASEAN 2015, the political, the economic and security communities. It has matured over the years, and a certain sense of urgency has been shown by the ASEAN leadership at different times. And today we are seeing that leadership's vision fructify into a kind of a very composite, a very collective ASEAN. Now this regionalism has emerged as a good case study. If I may venture to suggest that, can we borrow this model and see if it can be applied in the Persian Gulf? I know, I'm conscious of the fact that there are a large number of differences. It is not easy to bring about regionalism when you are preparing yourself for kind of a regionalism which has a very high level of mistrust. There's a nuclear backdrop. There are issues of religion in terms of the divides which have emerged over the histories. But there is an opportunity to see how smaller states and the big states can develop a good, solid, robust regionalism. This will help these states or the region to turn into much more stable, much more productive, at the same time lead the region into the 21st century. Thank you.
That's a good final statement. And it really points out the importance of the cooperation of very big and very small countries. This is something what other regional organizations like the EU also facing. If the big countries don't consider the needs and the fears of the small countries, it's very difficult to build up a regional community. ASEAN 2015 is on a good way, will be implemented soon, but it's still a process. It's not finished with the 31st of December this year. It's the beginning of a long, long journey to get this family developed. This concludes our program today. I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Vijay, old friend from India, for your thoughts and contributions, and the team before and behind the cameras. And good evening and goodbye. See you next month. Thank you very much.